Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really cutting through the noise, getting right to the strategic heart of the luxury industry. We're looking at a really provocative piece by Mark Abergel. He's a luxury executive based in Paris.
Hmm.
It's titled, Paris Fashion Week is not a marketing event. It's how luxury rebuilds desirability.
Hmm.
And let me be clear, this isn't just, light reading.
No, doubt it.
It's essentially a C-suite strategic briefing. Think of it as a roadmap for leaders like you, Bernard Arnault, other CEOs trying to navigate this, increasingly complex algorithm-driven world.
And what Abergel identifies right off the bat, which I think is truly fascinating, is this high-stakes problem is really echoing across the whole luxury sector. He calls it the billion-view paradox.
Ah, yes, the billion-view paradox.
Many of us probably remember the Dior Men's debut, an incredible spectacle, garnered a staggering billion views. Now, on the surface, that sounds amazing, right? A huge cultural triumph.
A billion views. I mean, that number alone just dwarfs the Super Bowl or even a World Cup final. It definitely shows that luxury fashion can grab global attention on a massive scale.
Absolutely.
But Abergel argues, and this is the core point, that this cultural coronation, despite that huge reach, also exposed a really deep strategic risk for the Maisons. So what's the hidden danger he's pointing to?
Exactly. The paradox, you see, lies in what he calls the immediate surrender of authorship. Maisons pour millions into staging these, almost sacred rituals. Yet for too long, they've basically treated Paris Fashion Week like just another marketing beat.
Yeah.
They just hand over the narrative to the chaos of algorithmic feeds,
Right.
allowing all that carefully built mystique to get flattened into, memes and fleeting trending clips. Abergel explicitly calls this an act of abdication.
Losing
Sovereignty.
Yeah.
Sovereignty over the very meaning that makes luxury desirable in the first place. He sees it as this Faustian bargain playing out. You're not just losing control on ROI, you're losing fundamental sovereignty.
Okay, so if chasing these huge view counts on algorithms is actually, a strategic dead end, where should luxury brands look for a new playbook?
Well, this is where it gets interesting. Abergel suggests we look beyond luxury to another industry that seems to have already mastered this exact kind of transformation, Formula One.
Formula One. Okay, tell me more. That seems like quite a leap.
It's a really compelling parallel, actually. If you think about the bigger picture, F1 for decades was a lot like luxury fashion is today. Very exclusive insiders club.
Very niche.
Under Bernie Ecclestone as former owner, the philosophy was super strict. Keep it exclusive, ban social media, basically ignore young fans because, he thought they couldn't afford the sponsors' products anyway.
Right, I remember that era. It felt impenetrable if you weren't already a diehard fan.
Exactly. It had a dedicated following, sure, but it severely lacked that broad cultural appeal and, frankly, media savvy.
But then something changed pretty dramatically, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. In 2017, Liberty Media bought F1 for, $4.4 billion? And they didn't just tinker around the edges. They launched a full-blown cultural revolution.
A cultural revolution.
They lifted the social media ban immediately. They started telling the human stories, the drama behind the drivers, and of course that famous partnership with Netflix for Drive to Survive.
Ah, Drive to Survive. Yeah, I have to admit, that totally hooked me. I knew almost nothing about F1, and suddenly I'm binge-watching seasons.
You and millions of others.
It really shows the power of opening up that human drama, right? Taking it beyond just the technical aspects. And now there's that Apple movie coming, too, apparently set to break the $1 billion mark.
That's right. Potentially the most successful sports film ever. And this wasn't accidental. Liberty Media intuitively grasped the crucial need for narrative sovereignty.
Narrative sovereignty.
They meticulously built what Abergel calls a sovereign cultural stack to reclaim that narrative. They understood that owning the story, controlling how it's distributed and framed, that was absolutely key to its long-term value.
And the results speak for themselves, don't they? It's been astounding.
Truly transformative.
F1 went from being this niche, exclusive sport to a genuine global cultural phenomenon. The fan base surged, what is it now, over 800 million?
827 million projected, yeah.
Incredible. And with 43% under 35 and 42% female by 2025, that's a huge demographic shift.
Huge shift.
And that cultural power attracted major partnerships, right? Disney, Lego, and crucially for this discussion, LVMH itself, a historic 10-year global partnership signed just this year, 2025.
Precisely. And Abergel doesn't just present this as, an interesting analogy.
Yeah.
He frames it as the proven blueprint for luxury. He actually says, and I think this quote is powerful,
Okay.
F1's revolution wasn't just on the track. It was a masterful sovereignty play in culture itself. He talks about turning the paddock into a stage, athletes into protagonists,
Yeah.
seasons into serialized drama.
Creating that pull beyond just the race itself.
Exactly. The blockbuster partnerships, the cinematic series, the human rivalries, these are not byproducts. They are the very architecture of its new kingdom.
Yeah.
This is the blueprint for transforming a niche ritual into a global cultural nation.
A global cultural nation.
Wow, and the lesson for luxury, he puts it bluntly. This isn't about selling out. It's about scaling sovereignty.
Scaling sovereignty. I like that. It reframes the whole objective.
Yeah.
So, okay, F1 is the blueprint. But what's the actual actionable playbook for a luxury maison? Avrigel lays out the coronation playbook, a 5-act strategy to reclaim that cultural sovereignty. It sounds very deliberate, focused on authorship at every step, so the algorithm can't just hijack the narrative. But how do you do that? What are the acts?
It's a very carefully choreographed sequence. Let's break it down. First,
Yeah.
Act 1, the summons.
The summons. Okay.
Think about it. Every coronation starts with a call, something that commands attention. But this isn't just, a quick social media teaser trying to generate fleeting buzz.
Right. Not just show starting soon.
Yeah. No. Abigail calls it an artifact of culture designed to set the narrative on sovereign ground. Think about Prada, how they've collaborated with directors like Wes Anderson on those short films.
Ah, yeah. Those are beautiful.
They're not just ads, right? They're invitations into a whole universe. They prime the world to listen. They set a tone of real significance before the main event.
Okay, so it's about establishing that cultural weight beforehand, conditioning the audience rather than just like announcing a time slot. That's a key difference.
It's crucial. Then comes Act 2, the vesting.
Vesting.
Yeah. Luxury fundamentally is built on hierarchy, isn't it? Tiered intimacy. So Abigail suggests providing exclusive, maybe encrypted live streams for your VVICs, very, very important clients.
Your absolute top tier.
Exactly. And your top VICs, key cultural allies, think Anna Wintour before it goes out globally. It's like F1 doing that fan-first premiere for the Brad Pitt movie. You reward loyalty with privileged access. He writes, and this is really important, sequenced access, VVIC EV aspirants, reinforces the very architecture of desire.
The architecture of desire.
The most loyal feel it first, the aspirational witness it next. It is the digital equivalent of being led from the antechamber into the throne room. Because, he argues, in luxury, access is not democratic, it is conferred. This is not exclusion, it is elevation.
That makes so much sense. It reinforces that whole aspirational journey, the value of being in that inner circle. Okay, though, so summons vesting, then the main event, Act 3, the coronation itself. How does he see the show?
The show itself becomes this, state ceremony, where myth is staged as reality. And crucially, it must be owned and distributed first by the Maison itself.
Not just farmed out to YouTube or Instagram right away.
Exactly. Not parceled out to big tech where the authorship gets diluted, the mystique gets flattened. The goal isn't just to be seen anymore. It's to be felt with the full, unmediated impact of the authored vision.
Right.
Think about Jonathan Anderson's 75-minute cinematic piece for Dior. That set a new benchmark. It proved that, as Abigail says, authored intimacy, not algorithmic noise, can stop the scroll.
Authored intimacy, yeah.
And create a gravitational pull of 1 billion viewers. It's about really bringing that LVMH motto, savoir-faire, revers, know how to make people dream to life, but with real cinematic rigor and absolute control.
Okay, so you have this powerful authored coronation moment. But the goal isn't just for it to happen in Paris and be done, right? Its influence needs to spread. What's Act 4, the proclamation?
Correct. A coronation's power can't be contained. It needs to radiate globally. So Act 4, the proclamation, involves transforming your flagship stores into what Abigail calls cultural embassies.
Cultural embassies? Interesting.
Yeah, they don't just host, viewing parties. They stage their own intimate, localized coronations. Think curated events, private screenings, exclusive installations related to the show.
So extending the ritual geographically.
Precisely. Just like F1 had premieres for its movie in Times Square in London, extending that narrative. It makes, as he puts it, retail become ritual. Flagships become embassies. Geography becomes soft power. You're projecting that cultural sovereignty worldwide, making the physical space part of the authored story.
Okay, that makes sense. And then finally, we have the problem of digital content just disappearing, right? That algorithmic decay Abergel mentions. So Act V, the canonization. How do you make it last?
Right. In this algorithmic age, that kind of impermanence is luxury's enemy. So the final act, canonization, is all about ensuring the moment and its meaning are enshrined, not just allowed to evaporate into the digital ether.
How do you do that?
By creating a rich afterlife for the event. Think behind-the-scenes documentaries, maybe digital archives, podcasts with the creative directors discussing the cultural references, the inspirations.
Going deeper into the meaning.
Exactly. And crucially, partnering with museums and cultural institutions to, quote, enshrine itself into the fabric of civilization.
Mm-hmm.
Louis Vuitton, working with the Musée d'Orsay, that hinted at this potential, as Abergel puts it. By transforming a fleeting show into a permanent cultural asset, the Maison ensures its story is immune to algorithmic decay and not reduced to a trending clip. This is how you move beyond just a seasonal calendar to actually owning a piece of culture itself.
Wow. So, summons, vesting, coronation, proclamation, canonization. These 5 acts form this coronation playbook. And the goal isn't just louder campaigns.
Yeah.
It's more intimacy, more resonance, and more desirability. It's a choreography of cultural sovereignty, ensuring that what starts in Paris doesn't just end up on TikTok, but actually endures as authored myth. That feels like a massive shift from marketing to, I don't know, cultural statecraft.
It absolutely is. And Abergel is very clear. This isn't just, cultural poetry or some fancy branding exercise.
Yeah.
This is hard strategy with business consequences.
Right. It has to translate.
Measured in what should be luxury's most important metric, cultural ROI. We're talking about tangible business outcomes here, things that hit the bottom line, moving way beyond vanity metrics like raw views.
Okay, so speaking the language of the boardroom, what are the key outcomes Abergel identifies for you as a leader listening to this?
He highlights 3 critical ones. First, building a defensive moat.
A moat.
In this age of, let's call it algorithmic warfare, where brands are constantly fighting for attention and trying to control their narrative in these super crowded digital feeds, this moat is built differently. It's built on aura, ritual, and cultural sovereignty, creating what he calls a true cathedral of desire.
A cathedral of desire. And F1 provides a lesson there, too.
A stark one. Think about underdog teams like Haas. Before the Liberty Media Revolution, they had a loyal but pretty small fan base, right?
Yeah, definitely not a household name.
Post-Drive to Survive. Global icons. Conversely, Abergel uses Caring with Gookie as maybe a cautionary tale, where aura seemed to collapse under what he calls an algorithm-fueled hype machine.
Interesting contrast.
Meanwhile, you look at Laura Piana's sustained, quiet growth at LVMH. It's become, arguably, LVMH's most potent maison. That's a testament to the power of sovereignty, of quiet confidence in its legacy. As Abergel puts it, one is a tenet of the algorithm, the other is a cultural nation.
Tenet to the algorithm versus a cultural nation. That's a choice.
It's a fundamental choice. Are you renting attention or are you owning your cultural domain? It's about choosing, as he says, not louder, but higher.
Not louder, but higher. I like that frame. Okay, so the defensive moat is one outcome. What's the second?
The second is the sovereignty premium. This is about restoring pricing power.
Crucial.
By rebuilding that myth, that cultural weight through the coronation process, a maison rejustifies its price premium on fundamental terms. A handbag isn't just a product you see plastered everywhere online.
Right.
It becomes an artifact from a significant cultural event. It's imbued with memory, with ritual, with the spectacle of that ceremony. Think back to Chanel's rocket launch show in 2017.
Yeah, that was memorable.
The bags from that collection weren't just leather and hardware, were they? They were tangible pieces of that specific cultural moment. Abergel really emphasizes every coronation reinforces this premium. It defends your margins and insulates value from digital commodification.
Okay, moat, premium.
Yeah.
What's the third outcome?
The third is building a first-party empire. This playbook is fundamentally about reclaiming the luxury industry's direct, unfiltered relationship with its audience.
Getting back that direct connection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something that was largely surrendered in the algorithmic era when everyone chased platform reach. Instead of just renting attention from Instagram or TikTok, the Maison cultivates a bond that no third-party platform can truly replicate. It's rooted in emotional fidelity, not just clicks or views. These aren't just data points. Abergel calls them memory banks that build lasting desirability. It's about owning that customer relationship at the deepest possible level.
And the ROI on all this, as you mentioned with F1, it's not theoretical, it's real.
Undeniably real. Formula One's reinvention. Revenue's more than doubled since 2017.
Mm.
They've secured record sponsorships, including, as we said, that massive 10-year LVMH deal. They've dramatically expanded their fan base across continents, demographics. This is just about winning one Fashion Week cycle. It's about winning the entire decade by fundamentally redefining how value is created and sustained.
So the choice Abergel puts before luxury leaders is pretty stark then.
It really is. Surrender your sovereignty to the algorithms. Essentially become tenants of the feed. Or rebel. Rebel by becoming your own media powerhouses. Authors of culture, not just marketers renting space.
And Formula One showed it's possible. They proved the path.
They proved the path from elite niche to global cultural juggernaut.
And that ultimate proof, perhaps, is that LVMH partnership with F1 itself. It's hardly coincidence, is it?
Not at all. As Mark Abergel concludes, and this feels like a real call to action, it is a signal that the starting lights are out.
The starting lights are out.
The world's leading cultural nation, LVMH, recognizes the value of sovereign storytelling, authorship, coronation, and is positioning itself at the crossroads of adrenaline and art de vivre. This isn't just a prediction anymore. It feels like an imperative.
So, as you listen to this, what stands out to you from this really powerful vision? Mark Abergel makes it incredibly clear. Maisons that embrace this coronation model, they move beyond the seasonal calendar. They step into the realm of authored culture, of sovereign taste. They become these cultural nations that export mythology, memory, and soft power on a scale that's almost civilizational.
Which really brings us to a crucial question for you to consider. Are you currently staging collections, or are you consciously constructing cathedrals of desire? Because Abergel argues the future of luxury lies not just in its beautiful products, but fundamentally in its ability to master the narrative, own its stage, and ensure that what begins in Paris truly endures as authored myth.
For more deep analysis on exactly how luxury, culture, and tech converge, you should definitely subscribe to Mark Abergel's Cultural OS Substack. You'll find the kind of insights that can really help you build your own cultural nation.